this computer. All right. So good morning, everyone. You are here for a Classcraft 101 training. This is going to be an overview. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Bond, Virginia Bond, Bond Lake James, Virginia Lake the state. I work for NARIC as an ISS Integration of Technology Training Specialist. And I am also the lead tech integrator at Salmon. Some of you know me, not all of you do. I have worked with some of you, but I taught at Salmon for 27.5 years before I came here to NARIC to be a training specialist. So, and just what that basically means is that I basically train in anything and everything. So just my contact information is on that second side, and we're going to go through just some basics. I've also set my, oh, you're welcome. Not a problem, Kelly. So I've set my alarm so that we have some time to run. I want to run at like probably, let me see. I want to do 15 minutes, 20 minutes in this part of the session, kind of an overview of the product. And then I want to do 20 minutes to dive you into like your account so you can play in a demo account. And then I want to leave some time for questions along the way. Okay, move this out of the way and we'll be good to go. All right, so really when we talk about Classcraft, its purpose is really to help motivate your students to get their potential, just to kind of work on their professional growth and on their like human connection together. So really it's about getting them engaged and to move them from extrinsic motivation into intrinsic motivation, knowing that this is a huge issue for students, especially in high schools, right? Why do we do it? We do it because we want to do it, not just because we have to do it as part of this motivation component. And Classcraft uses games and stories. Now, it's not, we'll talk a little bit more about this. It's not like playing a game, it's gamifying your classroom. And there is a real difference between the two. The difference between the two is if I played like Mario Kart in the classroom, that would be like using games in my classroom, where this is taking my content and adding game components into it so students are motivated to do the work that they need to do. And this product is going to allow you to do that. So Classcraft, I've had a really hard time saying for the last 2 weeks, is really a behavioral initiative. And it's a really nice fit along with what the district is currently using or not using, but it's a really nice fit with some of the needs that the district has. You really got to focus on student engagement. This is going to allow you to show engagement, and it's going to allow you to focus on the positives. That is the purpose of the product. So it's really to shift focus away from punitive behavior into a positive behavior mode. So when we start to talk and we look at some of the behaviors that are in there that are already preset, which is kind of an awesome thing. Behaviors can be preset by your administration. They can be pushed down into you, and then you can set more for your classroom as well. So you're going to have these behaviors that overall you're looking for as a district, so that you have this like universal SEL feel to the building. And then you can also have some that you use either in your classroom or in a grade level band, which also I think is very helpful. So grade level band, say the 9th grade team could say, these are the certain things that we're looking for. We're going to add these into your components, and it's very simple for you to do. Okay, so the next thing also. So, you know, we know that this has been a crazy thing, maybe not so much for your students as it has been for some younger students. But if you look at even the way students play games, the gamers in schools, it really has taken over the world. I mean, I look at TikTok sometimes and I'm like, wow, the world has kind of changed. So video games are really a culture that's super prevalent right now. When you think about some of the movies that are out there, Ready, Set, Player One, the Ready, Set, Player game, the second movie that has come out, any of those other components that come with that, And it really has changed. And I think this year especially has changed a bit. Sorry, guys, I've got to view my waiting room and let some people in. So in a pandemic, I think that's been even, has happened even more because of just being home, the inability to go out. So there's an interesting statistics. The last 20 years, music and film were equal, right? I mean, in the last 15 years, but now you see this huge clique of video games really starting to take off. And I was kind of born or played games in the old Atari age. Some of you don't even know what that is, right? So thank you, there's a few hands in the room, right? I had the original one. I used to play Pong where my father went Pong and you were like, ooh, can I get the little thing, right? How things have changed now. We have all of those just gaming components. Like I can't play anything that involves two thumbs doing opposite things. My hands were made as a musician. They work together in tandem, not to do opposite things. But we see students are totally addicted to those. And I'm sure that some of you have even seen that in remote teaching. Like we're not really sure if they're engaged with us because they may be engaged on another screen doing something else involving some kind of gaming component. Or the number of people that stay up late at night to play with games, right? Okay, I kind of do that myself too, a little bit, but I'm more of a phone kind of girl. That's about all I can handle. All right,
Virginia,
so,
I wanted to mention too, I know I've told some of the teachers, but at the same time that we're doing this, we'll have a competitive esports league in the school in the fall, if all goes well.
Awesome. So you should see a lot of kids really want to kind of jump on that bandwagon because it really is something that's just kind of up and coming. Esports is really has a huge scholarship feature to it, which is amazing. And we are really, I think, blessed in the area to have Canton ATC, which has one of the top components, one of the top scholarships. I think they said they made $20 million in that program in the last couple of years. Kind of amazing. Anyway, so this shift for our students to move from extrinsic to intrinsic motivation. Extrinsic, so what's outside of them, into the intrinsic to really kind of shift the playing field so they know they're not doing it because of a grade. They're not doing it because you said so. They're not doing it because of some other reasons. They're doing it because they want to do well, because it's inside of them. It's that motivating factor. Now, it's not going to work for every student. We know that, but this is also one of those things that if we can get this embedded into students, it's going to help them later in life. And it's really, I think, one of those key components that students need to be successful in college. When we talk about a high school, that's a huge component. Having them want to do well because they want to do well for themselves. They want to be successful. They want to do more. Okay, as we move on, I'm going to put the link to today's session in the chat. Again, Erin, you will need that. So games, we know, are also great ways to motivate students. Pretty simple. I think that statement in itself just makes a lot of sense. So when we look at the pieces that are in here, I am a huge competency, by the way. The Tetris speaks to my world, right? And I am learning the world of Minecraft in my own life. But also this game that we're going to look at, Classcraft takes these pieces and kind of puts them all together. So, and it really speaks to the 5 needs of survival, belonging, power, freedom, and just fun. Right? It's good to have fun. And as we continue looking at some of those pieces, I don't know about you guys, but I really love, I am a huge, I know, competency. That's where I focus on. I mean, I have like apps on my phone just for like rebates and those kind of things. So that's the part that speaks to me. Whereas many other students, it's things like relatedness. What's nice about Classcraft, when we pop in there, your students are going to be able to compete on teams. But it's not just about the competing part. The teams are so important because a team, they will assist each other in their growth, and they have different roles that they can play that will help with that. So it's also what it's going to do. It's going to take those three components and it's going to allow them to practice their good behaviors. That's why we're going to look for the positives. We're not going to focus on punitives. It's going to give them the freedom to express themselves so they can customize what they want. They can earn points to level up. So when they level up, they get new looks, they can buy new clothes, they get new powers, they get new pets. This whole rat thing freaks me out, just so you know. I don't want any rats in my life. I don't want a rat for a pet ever. Sorry. And then belonging not just to their team, but to their class as well. Okay, so what else? So we can see these three things, these three needs that games give us and how they come over into education. So we're going to look for these pieces of controllability. We're going to work on their skill development. That's just you as a teacher are going to be able to embed those pieces into your classroom, and also that connection. So we're talking about this when we talk about welcome everybody. So if we can pull these three pieces in, if we can make students feel like there's autonomy, we're going to work on their competence. We're going to be able to embed relationships into our classroom. What we are going to start to see is that they will be welcome into the classroom. Sorry, guys, got to welcome somebody back in. Awesome. Okay, so it's going to help us improve communication. And you can read that. I don't want to read those slides there for you. So you can see what this is going to do. So how does it work? How is it going to motivate students in person or remotely? So Classcraft is going to be like this, I like to call it like a layer that you lay on top of your classroom, that when students are doing the right thing, you're going to be able to reward that behavior in a very simple way. You don't have to stop what you're doing. You're going to be able to embed it in your classroom very simply. And I know that I have tried it a couple times. I'm like, it's not as hard as it seems. You can be in the midst of teaching and you can just go in and you can just pop a button and click and add points to people very simply, especially when you have all these rules all set up, or rules or behaviors set up for yourself. And if they're the things you're going to focus on, you can also have your day focused towards one thing, can reward points. Very simple. It's not as difficult as it sounds. So the classroom is really the game. That's the whole point of it. Your classroom, the behaviors that you're looking for are what you're going to put into the game. So when you see students collaborating or a student helping someone else, you're able to reward those points. And I think that's really valuable to really teach that connection between students so they're not entities. And I feel like it's a big thing we're battling right now when we're in a remote setting, right? A lot of students feel like they're on their own, they're not connected. So this is going to help us build that back end, whether we're in this kind of setting next year, God I hope not, for everyone's sake, or if we are even face-to-face, we still have students that have a rough time connecting. So I think this is going to assist in that. So just realize that Classcraft is not a game. You're not going to have your students like being like, dude, I'm Mario Karting my way through. And I just looked at it to make sure this was Mario as I was looking, because I don't always know, right? That is not the purpose of this. It is really talking about gamifying. You're going to take those elements and you're going to apply them to your education, to your class, to motivate your students. Okay, so you're going to just continue teaching, which is the great thing. You're going to do this setup. You're going to continue to teach. You're going to have this like layer that you can add in. All right, so the positive behaviors that you're going to look for, there have some different kinds of money. Students are going to earn money, and I have a couple other slides on this. You have positive behaviors. They're going to get experience points, or XP. So that is going to give them, so they're going to give, the XP is going to give them progression ability, which means they're going to have the ability to move up. It's going to help them level up in the system. Then they can also, you can reward gold pieces. So that gives them the ability to purchase things. So they're going to be able to purchase within the game. Now there's also talk, and there's talk within the system. The company recommends that you can actually make gold pieces into real money so students can purchase things at the store. And I know that was a conversation that Bill and Teresa and I had at one time along with the company. I think that's something to think of in the future. You may not be here yet. But as you work through this, especially you guys in the system right now, so really going to take it and play with it for the next couple of weeks while you're here, and it will be a focus for summer school, is to really look at it and like take notes, like what worked for me, what didn't work for me, what would I like to see, what else could I do with it, talk to your peers about how you could use it. So you're going to focus on those positives, you're going to discourage the negative behavior, and that can be done through health points. You can take health pieces away. I think this is spelled incorrectly. I think they used to call them health pieces, not this pieces, but health points. And just a heads up, this company is based out of Montreal. It is a pretty new company in general. And I know that you are first to purchase it, and we are hoping that this will be something that we will be able to bring the company down. So they'll be able to come into districts and do some things as well once the borders open up. That's definitely not something we want right now. Okay, so let me keep going. So the way it works is right now, the positive behaviors have been pushed through. Bill and Teresa sat together and they made a decision on some of the templates that can be done from the admin end to push some things into the system so that you have the ability to use them. There are lots of benchmarks and templates that are sitting out there. And when they come in, the behavior will come in and it will have like an icon in front of it. And you'll notice down the side, there's like an orange or a yellow. That's a positive behavior, has a plus sign, and the negatives are marked with a minus or red. It's pretty easy to see. When you look at this and you see the system, you'll notice there are a lot more positive behaviors within the system instead of negatives. And that's because the focus is to focus, the purpose is to focus on the positives, not the negatives. So you want to be, your ratio should be 10 to 1. Okay, so it should be 10 positives to every negative. And it's going to be like 8 to 1, 10 to 1, some way in there. One of the things the company does recommend is if you're having an issue, as you get further into this, having an issue with students coming to class on time, you don't make a punitive behavior around you were late to class. You make a positive behavior around the fact of students showed up on time. And you might even have extra gold points for students that show up early to class. So you take those negative behaviors that you don't want to see, you rewrite them in a positive manner, and you use that as the behavior that you're trying to focus on. And that could really be your focus for a few days. So when the student comes to class and he's late and he hears that everyone else is getting points and they're not getting them, and he says, hey, what's going on? You say, well, you know, they're coming to class on time, so they're getting these points, to kind of reward them in a positive manner. It is a mindset switch for us and probably for high school students as well. Okay, so they're going to focus on teams. You'll see that there's these 3 characters that we are going to talk about in a few minutes. So there are 3 kinds of roles within the system. There's a guardian, a healer, and a mage, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. So the behavioral and components that we're also going to look for, we're going to look for collaboration. We're going to look for, you can also have some of the points that you give impact real life, as in you'll be able to give action points to some of your students, and that will give them real life powers within your classroom. And it may be things like they have the ability to hand in homework a day late. They have, that might not be such a big thing right now because lots of them might be handing in homework late. There'll be things like they can have a homework pass. I'm seeing some head nods, so I get it. Like I am understanding this. And it is also pretty customizable. So you don't just have to say, well, this isn't going to work for me because this is my classroom. You can make it work for you in the system that you are in. Okay, so let's see what it looks like. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to get this toolbar. I'm going to hide my, just going to get my toolbar out of the way. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to close lots of windows and I'm going to actually go in and log into ClassCraft. So I'm going to go to Classcraft.com. And so Bill Jager is interested, if he's still here, interesting thing that I found yesterday when I came into this and I logged in the way that I have been. Bill, Teresa, myself, Angie Robert, and Jeff Boulay, along with one of my colleagues, Ed and Eric, we are your admins within the system, all right? So we see kind of a different view. So, but I'm going to show you the teacher view today. So I'm going to log in, and when I first log in, it's going to come in. It's going to usually, it will typically ask me what my login looks like. So you will get a screen that pops up. You're going to log in with your SRK12 email, okay? If your account does not work, please reach out to me and I will make sure that your account is set up. You should get a screen that pops up and you get the side-by-side. So you'll come in, you'll get the side-by-side, and you'll be able to log in with that screen. It should say, which account do you want to use if you have multiple, like I have multiple Gmail accounts. It should say, which Gmail account do you want to come in with? I want to come in with my Salmon River one, so it should keep it pretty easy. So you'll log in with that account. There is an app for this product. So if you have, so it's available on iOS. I did not check to see if it was available on Android. I am very sorry for that. So you can put it on your phone, which means it's, as a teacher, if you want to put it on your phone and hook to your account, it means you can do the points right from your phone, right? So you can be walking around and you can put the points on for your phone, or you can add it to the Chromebook without any issues whatsoever. Okay, so once I'm in the demo class, it looks like this. Now, if you've already logged in, what I'd like you to do, I'd like you to log in and I'd like you to get into this screen right here. And I'd like you to be in, because what I want you to do is I want you to explore the demo class. We are going to go into the demo class. So to log in, you go to classcraft.org. I lied to you, classcraft.com. You'll log in with your SRK12 account. And then what I want you to do is to come into the demo class. And this is what a class dashboard looks like. I'm going to turn off those notifications so I don't have to see them. Okay, so I'm in the system. I'm just going to reset my alarm for 20 minutes just to make sure I have it the right way. And you will hear there are noises happening in the background, okay? That's okay. So you'll see down this side, this is home, right? When I come into the demo class, it brings me back out. These are my students. So right now on this team, your group is separated. It's a bird. I kept thinking it was a rat that I'm hearing. I have my players on this team. I also have teams. Thanks. I also have my entire class. So this is my class of students. I'm going to go back out into players. So when you're in here, you will see when I click on a student name down the side, things will change. You'll see I get a different student pops up. I can also just click on a student to bring them to the top. So 3 different layers. So Waylon in this class is a guardian. Level 5, here is what he has done. He's how he's customized himself. Greg is a healer. Now these are customized by gender, skin colors, definitely your outfit that you wear, your accessories that you have. If you have, I don't know, somebody has a pet here somewhere. Sherry is a guardian. It also has their level through. And you actually have the ability, you know, if I click into this, I can actually go in and see this is what the students looks like. what their account looks like when I come in. You're going to have the ability to see what it looks like as a student. Going to go back out, so I'm back into this account. So let's say I have these 4 different things. I have HP, health points, AP, action points. We're not going to worry about those right now. XP, that's the experience points. This is what we're worried about. This is what we're going to give them. And GP, gold pieces. So the focus for you for this year, for the rest of this year, is you're going to focus on the positives. You want to use the things that are in there, and you're going to use your pieces. So if you're in the demo class, you can go in, pick on it, just add some points to this person. So you'll see as soon as I click on add points, it pops up my positive behaviors, right? And I'm just going to say I'm going to give them being respectful for others. You can see this automatically moves. It will automatically go through. Now I can do student by student if I want. I don't know. That seems to take a lot of time to me, right? Let's say that's everybody. I can also do, I can do my team, right? I can come in like this and I can say, okay, I'm going to do this team right here. I click all the boxes. But let's say Marjorie's absent. I can just click that absent box so she doesn't get any points for the day. And I can just give them points like this as a team. Again, can do it like that. So I can do a whole team. Or if I say, okay, let's do the whole class. I can click the whole class. To me, that's easy, right? To do the whole class. I want to manage points that come in. I'm going to say, all right, great job. Let's say everybody's being respectful to others online. I'm going to give them all that. Very simple way to do that. I can also click those 3 little dots over there. We can modify points. You can also create custom behaviors if you'd like to. So that's pretty easy way to go through this. Students are on the side. You'll notice I marked Marjorie absent. She's absent for me. She's going to be absent for my class. If I come back in, I can do this. She will reappear, right? If I mark her absent and she shows up in Rebecca's class, Rebecca will also have to mark her absent. It's not like across the whole system, everybody marks her absent. So that just depends on your thing. If you have so many kids in here and you just want to search for one, like you can't see the whole list, you can just search for their names pretty easily. It has some nice features within it. That's pretty easy, right? Can also see their powers down here. All right, so next one, we're going to look at the class tools. There are some class tools in here, as in you can do some pieces within the system. Now, this is not going to be a focus for you guys right now, but it's okay to play with them. You can't break the system. Always good to know that you can't break it. I mean, I guess you probably could if you tried hard enough, but I don't think you can. So give a gander, give it a good go. Let's see if you can break it. And it doesn't, I'd love to have to fix it that you break it. So what they do have in here is they have a random picker, right? So you can just kind of come into the system and tell it to pick a picker and it automatically picks the person. So like there's no like judgment. You don't have to have another spinner. You can just use this, or you can say, this is who I'm picking. I'm going to ask a question. They get it right. I give them points, right? You can do things like that as well. You have kudos. Now, kudos are huge within the system. And because what the kudos do is they allow your students to really encourage each other on things that they're doing well. And what is also nice is that you as a teacher approve those kudos. They don't just get to say, Rebecca has the coolest hair today. That's not really a kudos, right? That's more like, okay, yes, fashion-wise, she is all that and a piece of cheese, okay? We want to make it a little better than that. We want to talk about, you know, things that was really great for you to help you, or I really enjoyed helping you. We want it to be more along the lines of instruction. So it's not just about things that are related to how they look or things like that. So it's more of those things. And you, as a teacher, approve them. So if one student comes in and says, you know, Mr. Jaggers is a piece of poo today. He yelled at me in the hallway and I can't believe that, right? You don't have to approve that. Okay, you're just not going to approve that. Sorry, Bill, I'm going to pick on you, right? So these are things that they come through and you can set up a schedule to read through them and to approve them. What happens is that when they get approved, everybody will be able to read them because kudos are school-wide. They're not just built within your classroom. So you can see kudos from other teachers that are awarding them. And I would encourage you to encourage your students to do that. There are also quests in here. Okay, let's not focus on quests. I really think at this point you want to talk about positives. And if it were me, I would be pounding out points like a pretty little pony, passing them out. Okay, don't you like that, Kelly? Kelly's like, I like that, right? Give those points away. There's nothing holding you back. Just be super generous because you want to see how the system works at this point. Can you take off points? You can. So when I hit the negative, it takes away HP. When a student loses a lot of HP, they do something called a fall. They fall, and it's at that point their other teammates on their team can either protect them from the fall, and it is their job to protect them from the fall, or they can help them working things to go back up, right? So you see there's only a few here. Can also create a quick penalty, but that's just not our focus. We want to focus on these positive behaviors. So is that all pretty simple so far? That's all simple, right? All right, I'm going to leave I'm going to leave the demo class, and I'm going to walk you through creating a class. So I'm going to come in and create a class, and I'm just going to name it. I'm going to call it ClassCraft 1. I'm going to do class settings. I'm going to be in the high school. And I'm going to pick a subject. And I'm going to go to next. All right, so first thing's done. So I'm at the high school. It's going to say, which one of these settings do you want to work on behavior? So social distancing, remote
Virginia?
work. Yes.
Would the teachers, for example, say like period 1 ELA or?
Yes. Use a real naming convention, not like mine. You might actually, my friends, want to put your name in there. So it might say, Rebecca, you're my go-to person. It might be like Eagle English 11 period 2. Because poor Mr. Jagers and Miss Van Dunk and I have to look at these and know what class is what. And if it just says period 1, we're going to be like period 1. Okay. So use a strong naming convention. Think of like a Google Classroom idea. So
if I have classes set up already, I don't know if you can hear me very well. If I have classes set up already, where do I go and change some of those? Like,
I'll come back to that. Okay, Ron?
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So we'll do preview. I'm going to look at these, and these are the behaviors that are in here. Let's say, yeah, so behaviors, you have powers. So, right, and these are those bigger things as students learn their way through this system. They will understand the different powers, like a guardian. Here are the guardian powers. Here are the healer powers. Here are the mage powers. Your team should be a mix of these. You don't want to have a team of mages or a team of healers. You want to have a mix of those components. All right, so I'm going to click on that one. I'm going to choose this one. I'm going to say next. So there's my ClassCraft 1. That's my first class setup, right? The basics is just there. So it's going to ask me to review my powers. I need to click on it. Here's my powers. Here's the ones that I have in here already. You can always add custom behaviors. I'm going to say next. Yep. Okay, this is what I'm going to go with. Here's my negative behaviors. It's going to make you go through the system so you know what's in here. Here's the default pledges. So if a student falls, so if they lose HP, these are the ways they can get back up from where they were. Basically, it's an apology system for them, or they're going to have to do something to change what they've done. Okay, so I'm going to say done. So I have my first one done. What I like about this is when you get one thing done, it gives you a green check and you move to the next one. So it's not like, well, did I do that or didn't I do that? I don't know if I did that, right? So I'm going to review my powers. Okay. I am going to skip this video only, guys, and please watch it. It's going to make sense. I've done these before. So here's my powers and it walks through each one. It's going to walk me through each one of my powers You'll see when it's done, I can see what happened. I get a green check. Now I'm going to assign students. So this is the part that's a little confusing. And I did put a screenshot in here so you could see it, because it doesn't make any sense when you go through the system how to do it. So it is on slide 36. So when you come through and you assign students, you want to go here or you want to go here. Do not go here. You want to go into create new accounts and you want to use your Google Classroom to do so, because your Google Classrooms are already set up as your kids, right? So the classes, this is going to mean you don't have to pull the kids through. You also do not need to add students. Every student is in, I say that, Bill, every student is in the system. When we did a system dump and we grabbed all the kids. It's very possible you've had students enter the system since we set it up. If you come up with a student, what I'd like you to do is to please email Bill and myself. My email is in here and I will give it to you at the end, and we will get that student set up in the system. Okay, you do not need to do that because we have a few labels that we want to attach to those students to be able to do so. So when we say labels, we have their grade level attached to them. And we also have what class they're in. So like your seniors are the class of 2021. We have a couple different filters put on there so that we also pulled in their gender, so we can look at some different demographics. So you're going to use a Google Classroom. Here it's going to ask you which Google account you're going to use. Now, like for me, I have multiple, so it's going to ask me. So I'm going to use my Vivon at SRK12. And I'm going to say yes. All of these have been agreed. You're allowed to go through this click-through agreement because you do have a DPA on this. As you go all the way through, it's going to say to you, okay, which class do I want to pull in? So these are all my classes that I have set up, right? So I'm actually, and I know Rebecca walked out of the room. I am a co-teacher in Rebecca's classroom. So I'm going to grab this one and then I'm going to delete it. I'm going to grab that one right there. So here's all the students, right? And I click like this. And this arrow means that they have not logged in, right? So don't worry about this. This is Rebecca's group of kids. And I need to click the box and it's not letting me click the box. Well, no one knows why. So this is one way we can do it. Okay, work last night, not looking here. We'll figure out that. So that's the first thing. The other way through is you can come through and I can type in my students' names this way. You can do this. This is not creating accounts for your kids. So that's one way. The other way is when you get it all done, you also can go through and you can give your students a code to get in, right? They can get a code to get into the classroom. I want to come out of that. Sorry, guys. So when we're all the way through, I want to assign students. I'm not sure why it's not letting me do that. I'm sorry, I don't know why. It worked last night. Rhonda, do you have any advice? Did you manually put yours in? And I know Rhonda's been using the system. She's going to be one of your go-to people.
Oh my God, that's a bit of pressure. I'm struggling with a lot of things right now. I honestly don't remember. I think I used the Google thing, but I did it weeks ago. So okay. I'm not quite sure if it was different or. I don't
pull mine through because if I pull mine all the way through, they're going to be assigned into a classroom for me. So if we.
I know that when I used it about 3 years ago, I did import from the Google Classroom is how I added them.
Yeah, so it's going to come through. I'm going to check with those settings to make sure everything is okay. Shouldn't be any problems. I don't want to push one all the way through because I don't want to pull Rebecca's kids into a classroom that they're never going to use. So that's that process of getting our way through that. So when we're in, then you can go and you'll be able to go through and you can give your students a code. They can join that way as well. So our focus right now, I wanted you to be able to get your classroom set up. And I'm going to do a little bit of troubleshooting to see why that's not working. Shouldn't be a problem. Rhonda, yours should be all set up because when I come in and I go in with my other account, I see that you have an account in there already ready to go. What I do want to alert you guys to is these are going to be super helpful. You can do this like setting up your classes. This 4-minute video was going to walk you through. I'm just doing a really quick overview. All of these videos that they have in here are fantastic. And I would highly recommend that you use this like introducing students into the system. It's very simple. They also have this, if you really want to go through and take the educator system, which makes it look like I have educator 1, which I would be really impressed because it's a hard system. They have a ClassCraft certified educator level 1. They have a ClassCraft certified educator level 2. And just so I'll show you what the system looks like, if I can get into it. Okay. So you basically are in a system like your students would be in, and you start here and it works you through all of these different components. You have a story and then you have a tasks, and it walks you through the tasks. So you can see as you go through. It's a really good way to learn the basics of the system, but it's not quick. I wouldn't, unless you're bored, I mean, and you may be. Might be if you decide you really like it, want to use it during summer, that may be something you want to do. These little mini videos on the side are going to be very helpful. You also can come up into ClassCraft, and I want to. You have some other things in here as well. You can go to classcraft.com. You can type in a question if you have any questions, like in there. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. First time using it myself. So Rhonda's going to come and ask me a question. She just asked me how to review as a battle, or how to set up a review as a battle or an assignment. And I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to have to figure that out. And that's okay, right? That's where I am in the system. I'm a little tiny bit ahead of you, and some of you may be way ahead of me. That's okay.
And it's not easy to
Virginia.
figure out, so
It isn't.
I'm
but
trying.
what is nice is that we do have the knowledge base now. Bill and I have that knowledge base. And I don't mean we have it, but we have access to it. So we can pull things through when you ask a question, and we can get you answers a lot faster.
I added a link in the chat from classcraft.com, and it includes a lot of videos that kind of walk you through, you know, the basics of Classcraft, getting started, game features, quests, story modes. And so it's, you know, good thing to sort of like watch while you're chewing on your lunch or something to sort of get up to speed on some of these things.
So this knowledge base, that was what I was looking for, Bill, thank you, is just help.classcraft.com. I'd probably grab that by a link and throw it into my toolbar right there so you have it, just so it's sitting there, because it is a place that you can come in, ask a simple question, and it'll kind of pull it through. Like you can be pretty specific. Just becoming a little bit more comfortable with using those positives, I think is going to be like your go-to. Once you get it set up, ready to go, think about just pushing positives to your kids for a while. You'll be comfortable. And if you do that for a couple days, you'll be comfortable. You'll want to start to explore a little more. Let your students set up their own teams, or you can set up those teams. I would say that would be your first focus. Get your kids in it, let them customize themselves, and get them used to kind of the way it works. My contact information is on that second slide. So it is just virginia.bond@narec.org. Bill, I'm going to add that link that you put in the chat into this presentation, so we have it as well. And feel free to reach out to me. I am in district on Tuesdays. So if you play with this and you're like, girl, I have no idea, feel free to reach out. I will send you back an email that includes a link to my calendar so you can schedule time and I will come to you. Or if you need time that doesn't fit there, we can do it around another day that my calendar has availability. Questions? I want to give you time, and I know, Bill, I told you it would be under an hour, which is really was my focus. Take some time, dig in it a little, throw me questions that you may have, and I'm going to stay for the next 10 minutes. So if you have questions, feel free to shoot them at me.
I want to point out again, and I'm sure as you know, because I sent out an email yesterday, is that Virginia is going to be giving this training again at 11:30 and at 2. So if you came in late or you got distracted or you didn't quite catch something, or if you just want to see it again, you're certainly welcome to come back at those times. I'll send out a reminder later in the day. I'll include the Zoom link for you too, so you can just pop right in.
The other thing too is I do want to let you know is that on slide 47 of the piece I am just putting in the chat is the link to register within Frontline for this session. Okay, so the 9 a.m. session is right there. So if you link on that, it's right in the Salmon River count, and it's the most generic. It says Classcraft 9 a.m. overview of Classcraft. You want to make sure you get credit for this, and I will be going through and doing that attendance afterwards. Okay. So I will stick around for a while. Let me know if you have any questions. Rhonda, I'm going to write your question down because I'm going to have to do some research on that.
Okay. I do have another question though.
Sure.
So I'm in the settings and there was some things you went over that I kind of want to look and see if I can change. So when I set up my classes, there was a remote learning kind of with the behavior pre-made settings.
Yep.
And now you as an administration, you guys made like your own. I'm just wondering if it's easy to transfer over to what you guys made.
So they're an overlay for you, Rhonda. You should have both sets of them if they pull through. You should be able, the ones with icons when they pull through, if you can see the school ones, those will be icon ones, and yours should come up with behaviors without icons.
Okay, I see. So they're already kind of in there for me?
Are they kind of embed right in as added to you.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
Nice. And you can still add your own, add more, edit the ones you have. I wrote Rhonda assignment. I'm a bonehead. Rhonda, what's your email? All you LaFrance's got me like on a tizzy. I don't know which one is which. That's okay. Are you RM LaFrance, RH LaFrance?
You're muted, Rhonda.
RM.
RM, thank you. Listen, I knew it was something.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of like the jocks in the district. Sherry Jock, Sierra Jock, Carrie Jock. All right. What tools integrate well with Classcraft? So Matt, are you still there? Yep. So what do you, I think in the meantime, so you said the last time you used it was like 3 years ago. I think the setup is better. I'm not sure that there's yet a lot of integration in the system. So what are you talking? I mean, yeah, explain a little bit more what you mean. Oh, and you're muted.
You're muted.
Matt, you're
Matt.
muted.
You're muted, Matt.
Sorry, just trying to make sure I don't echo. So every time I went to create an assignment in, be it Edpuzzle, be it Google Slides, be it whatever technology I was trying to integrate with it, I could create it in that spot. I could pull it into Classcraft, and then I still had a million different places that I had to go to get my grades into my grade book, even though I was using Google Classroom at the same time. So it really didn't play very well with things outside of Classcraft, and
It's not a grading system. I think we need to keep that in mind. It's not a grading system, and it's really not an integration system. It's more of like an overlay for your classroom. So you could create like a quest where your students did an Edpuzzle that had a link to an Edpuzzle, had a link to something within your Google Classroom. Your grading is still going to happen off of Classcraft, and you would award points out of it. Okay. So they are still two separate entities, and I think that could be, that brings up a good point.
Right, but that's still doubling what I have to do for every single lesson that I create trying to use this.
So you don't have to attach it to your assignments. So I think you don't have to attach it that way. What you may want to do is you may want to attach it to the behaviors that you see regarding the assignments happening in the classroom. So it's a little measure,
I've already done it on this class.
if that makes sense.
For it, click the 9 a.m. section.
Yeah, it kind of does, but I guess that means then it's not really what I'm looking for.
You can't. You have to actually go in the chat and go to her.
The people that I had talked to and the videos I had seen, the testimonies I had seen is
I'll send you
that Classcraft adds, maybe 2 to about 5 minutes of work to a particular class, usually less than the 5 minutes. It sits over top. It's really more of a behavior system. And Virginia's right. It's really not an integration into our particular assignments and such. A lot of times it can be integrated just while you're doing attendance. The amount of time it takes you to do attendance, the amount of time it takes you to use Classcraft.
So I have a colleague that's been using, from my past job, she's been using this for, I would say, at least 3-4 years. She loves it, but she does say that it's quite a bit of a learning curve for a teacher to figure out how to get it to run smoothly in your class. She's a 7th grade teacher still, I think, and she said it worked wonders in her class right from the beginning. So
In a lot of the primary grades, they use a couple different tools. I mean, Seesaw can function in this way if you use it that way, as can like Class Dojo also works in this way. The students are used to that. This is more aligned to a middle school, high school environment. But those are tools that are out there. And I agree with you, Rhonda, there is a learning curve with it. And I think really focusing on positive disturbance. So that just becomes part of what you do. Like your kids come in and you could even look at your behaviors and say, in my head, I'm going to focus on this for 2 days. And then I'm going to focus on this for 2 days. So you get comfortable with them. So you get comfortable like assigning by a team, by a class, and then maybe start to add individual points as you work your way through. It is a learning curve, and it is, how do I successfully manipulate it so that I can get the results that I want back from my students? Thanks, Kelly. Yeah, Rebecca, make sure you, Rebecca, make sure that you sign in first at Classcraft, and then work your way through. It should work.
So go to and sign in. Oh, you don't have to?
I know they're in there because I'm able to get into your classes.
Trainings? You're not required to do trainings?
No, certified TA. Okay. So yeah, no.
So
she
yeah,
doesn't.
you don't have to do it. So never mind. We just.
I signed in with my SRK12 account and that's what came up. It's kind of weird.
Okay, if you look at, I'm trying to think the slide deck. So I tried it twice and I had a really hard time. So in slide 36 in that deck, you want to create new accounts instead of add existing students. It's not intuitive. It doesn't make sense the way you have to go into it and then go into Google Classroom. And I am really going to try to work my way through that. And I am going to probably have to get one to work. I could not get one to pull through. And it also could be because I log into 4 different Google accounts at the same time. So it kind of hates me right now. And we have to do that on a different, I'll probably have to do it on a different browser, my Salmon browser. Other questions? I want to make sure I get you guys out in a timely fashion. Don't forget to register. If you do forget to register, I have your name. So I will be going in and registering you for that session. So you have it. I want to make sure that you get credit. I'm going to
I just have a quick question. Is every session today